Hi, my name is Tiffany Thomas, and I will be presenting on the effects of consistent tiered intervention on student math achievement. Here we have two graphs that will represent our data. The graph on the left is the percentage of students performing on or above grade level in the proficiency of math at a specific school in comparison to other schools in Alabama for the 2017-2018 school year. As you can see, based on that graph, the red line is representing the Alabama state average for math proficiency test scores, and the blue line is representing the school's average for math proficiency and test scores. As you can see, the school is performing at 19%, while the state is performing at 47%. Therefore, the school is performing significantly lower than the state average. The graph on the right is the percentage of students performing on or above grade level in the proficiency of math for the 2018-2019 school year. However, as you can see from the graph, we want more students to be on the exceeding, but there are very few students who are at that level of proficiency. There are several students who are needing of support and several students who are close. Here is the problem. According to the RTI framework from McRail.org, 80 to 90% of students should be able to perform at a level of proficiency without engaging in targeted or intensive teacher-led intervention. However, as you can see based on the previous graphs, 19% of students were able to perform proficiently in math during the 2017-2018 school year. However, 15.71% of students performed proficiently during the 2018-2019 school year. So as you can see, there is a continuous decrease in student proficiency in the area of mathematics. During the investigation and the background of the study, there were three specific studies that I wanted to mention. Kelleher found that consistently monitoring student progress while using targeted intervention and adjusting intervention groups and instruction aids in student success. Jitendra et al. Studied 39 experimental and quasi-experimental studies on intervention and concluded that approximately 66% of students in the treatment group, which were those who participated in intervention, performed above the mean of students in the control group, which were students who just received traditional classroom instruction. Reisner et al. Utilized 4 participants for math intervention, and these students had intervention 3 times weekly for 20 minutes. Of those 4 students, 3/4 of them were able to have a higher rate of performance than before intervention was implemented and in place. So what is the action plan here? For the action plan, the sampling method would include a population of approximately 400 students, and those students will be grades 3 through 5. The sample will include 75 students from the experimental group and 75 students from the controlled group. The instrument that will be used will be the iReady diagnostic. This diagnostic will be administered during the fall, winter, and spring norm windows, and I will tell you more about the instrument in a later slide. The collaboration will include classroom teachers, tutors, and building test coordinators, which for my school specifically will be the assistant principal. The procedure and the timeline. So during the fall, as previously stated, there are 3 norm windows for the diagnostic for iReady. So the fall diagnostic will take place in August or September or between that time, and it will be administered to homeroom students in grades 3 through 5. The homeroom teacher will administer that assessment or that diagnostic to their students. The intervention plan will come in place, and it will be consisted of 30 minutes daily, and this will be at the top of the school day. So before students even receive any type of classroom instruction for whether that is in reading, science, social studies, mathematics, whatever subject that is, they will receive 30 minutes daily in math instructions at the top of each day. Students will then be assigned to school-based tutors twice weekly for 4 months. 4 months is the increment of time between each diagnostic window, so that is why they will receive intervention and tutoring during that time for that 4-month period. Next, we will have the winter diagnostic, which will take place between January and February. Once that diagnostic is complete, we will start to repeat our intervention plan after we have compared our data from the initial diagnostic, which took place in the fall. Next, we will have our final diagnostic in May. Again, this diagnostic will be taken after intervention has been implemented for that 4-month period, along with school-based tutoring twice weekly. At the end of this diagnostic, we will compare data from the fall diagnostic window and from the winter diagnostic window to assess what worked and what did not work from the intervention plan. The validity of the study, we have our iReady diagnostic. It is research-based, and the data from that diagnostic is used to determine student strengths and weaknesses. It also provides tools for small group instruction, and it monitors students' progress and speed of diagnostic completion. So if students take the diagnostic and they were to rush on the diagnostic, there will be flagged, and so the teacher will be able to see on her end where the student has rushed. There will either be a yellow flag for they may have rushed, or there will be a red flag for students who absolutely rushed. And you can retest those students as needed. But check with your building test coordinator before you administer that second diagnostic. There will always be limitations to a study, and the limitations for this one is absenteeism and parental involvement. Absenteeism, we know that many students come to school, but sometimes attendance is not continuous or it's not consistent. So with absenteeism, it could be related to maybe the child was sick, maybe there was something going on at home to where maybe there was just a death in the family, or anything can, contribute to absenteeism. And the second limitation is parental involvement. So sometimes parents want to pull their students out of a study, and that is perfectly fine, but that also just adds to the limitations of the study. We have to consider ethics, and so for this study, we have our confidentiality agreement, which will consist of a consent form that is required for parents to sign in order for their students to participate in the study. However, no information will be disclosed that would be able to lead back to the identification of the student. So the student won't be named, no specific demographics about the student, such as what class they're coming from, will be identified. The student will also receive a random number assignment. And again, this information will be kept to determine if the curriculum should be adjusted. There will also be a permission to conduct the research, which will have to go to the building supervisor, such as the principal, and then an IRB will be in place. The expectations and changes in the data. The expectation is that consistent intervention will lead to higher percentages of academic success. So for instance, again, going back to the 2017-2018 school year, there was only 15.71%. We want to see those numbers continue to increase rather than decrease to close the achievement gap. Students should also be able to increase their critical thinking skills, and then misconceptions in learning will be resolved. So where students are not understanding certain mathematical concepts, those will be resolved. Reflecting back on this study and on the proposal, changes that I would make, I would include specific scaffolding techniques and go into further detail for the intervention plan, such as what strategies I will be using, and that also includes those scaffolding techniques. And then additional research that I would consider is more scaffolding techniques for low-performing students, so those students who are performing grade levels that might be more than three grade levels behind, or more than 2 grade levels behind, and then intervention strategies to increase student motivation. So we know students who may need extra help, they may not always seem motivated, so just looking up strategies to help during intervention for those students who might need extra help. And then here we have our references. Hope you enjoyed it.